Hi, let me tell you why God brought the Jewish people to Israel. So first of all, it's very important to understand that Israel, when you look at the history of the world, perhaps apart from the United States, which was only a drop in the bucket compared to Israel in this regard, most countries, how do they develop? So you had a bunch of people, and some guy fought his way to the top, and people need safety, and so they allow him to make rules. People need rules, and that's kind of the tribal mechanism of how societies function. But with time, the tribal function became a king. And then eventually people said, okay, well, we don't like kings, we'll have democracy. And that was one way. It happened in ancient Greece. It happened somewhat in ancient Rome with the Senate, sometimes with the king. And then in modern times, in the French Revolution, sort of an idea of democracy. And then, interestingly enough, the American Revolution, which really influenced the world a lot because it brought a lot the notion of not seeking empire building, because even democracies such as England, etc., built empires. But eventually it reached a point where this became almost a spiritual thing. The early pilgrims that came to America, they saw themselves as literally like the early Jews that came to Israel, creating a promised land. And basically they were very influenced by the fact that they were persecuted by the government. So they created a government with four branches of the government: Supreme Court, President, Congress, and Senate. And in that way, they balanced out the powers, and they gave, really, you look at the first things they did, Bill of Rights, they gave a lot of rights to the individual, so they shouldn't be persecuted, etc., etc. But be that as it may, that's one little fix in a bigger picture. As we see with what's going on in America, you get terrorists that Obama, who's actually, people don't know this, Islam, it's the greatest terrorist organization that exists, the Muslim Brotherhood. The newspapers in Egypt reported that and that's where they started, and that's where there's a lot of this organization. And one of their main goals is putting people in places of power, have them all over the world. And he was actually part of the Muslim Brotherhood, which we saw. He put the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. And of course, he supported tremendous, horrific evil of ISIS, the terrible things they did, Iran, evil all over the world. Since he became president, terrorism spread 1,000-fold. But that's not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation is to say that this democracy is a little shaky, because you get a con man that comes in and says, oh, I'm the Messiah, and then people buy into him. And meanwhile, what happens is we have this tremendous now disharmony, discord, as opposed to the goal. So even America, which started off with quite good intentions, didn't really get it right. The only country that was designed by God himself of how that country should function is the state of Israel. And so the state of Israel was designed, I'm not saying that the modern state of Israel, which took a lot of its legal system from the British, which the secular legal system has a lot lacking, is better than no system. But the modern state of Israel, eventually, which we're coming into soon as a Messianic state, really is a Jewish state. And that's really, really, really important. Interestingly enough, the Congress just called a couple of the presidents of different universities. It was very interesting because the lady in charge there said to each one of them, do you support Israel as a Jewish state? And the dean of, shamefully, the dean of Harvard, she wasn't pressed on this. She says, oh, I support Israel's right to exist. In other words, she couldn't even say that it should be a Jewish state. But the whole idea of a Jewish state is not another state for Jewish people. Many people make this mistake that Israel is a country that is here for the safety of the Jewish people. We're not here for the safety. In fact, I come from Overland Park, Kansas. I feel very, very safe. In fact, I'm probably, spiritually, I think that we're safer in Israel than anywhere else, but I feel extremely safe in my city in Kansas. People are very, very nice over there. A lot of support for the Jewish people. So the point of a Jewish state is actually the point of the Jew himself, which is that we are a light unto the nations. Our goal is to be a representative of how a human being, how a godly person should behave. And therefore, what is amazing, and truly it's happening, we're living in the city of Sfas, where I'm broadcasting from. Sfas is a place where you really see this live. You come here and you literally breathe godliness in this place. In this place, Shabbos is Shabbos, a holiday is a holiday. We feel so much in tune with the will of God. And this is the ultimate goal of God, that there should be this unity of the body and the soul. So here we are, we're in a functional country, but the country is also functioning on higher principles, on godly principles. And this is really what the Jewish people are meant to be, a light unto the nations, because wherever we are in the world, we know that there are 7 laws that God gave to the entire world, the 7 laws of Noah, and these laws literally are there to create a holy world, that the world itself there's a beautiful teaching, which is, what is the idea of the Mashiach, the Messiah? It's not necessarily a different world. It's just like, imagine a person that can't see, and then suddenly he can see. The world didn't change, but it became a lot more beautiful. And the same thing is the goal of life, is that this world should be filled with the will of God, and when we live with the will of God, then the world becomes a beautiful place. Thank you for watching.